Hi, so we're going to be looking at right angled triangles. Two major things to think about. Pythagoras' theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c is the hypotenuse, the longest side. That's useful for finding the length of a side if you already have two of the sides. The other thing we need is SOHCAHTOA, which is trigonometry by any other name. In that, we can work out a missing angle or a missing length, and we need to know the three different ratios, which are sine, cosine and tangent, sine, cos and tan, and how to use them. I'm going to look at 2 or 3 questions, just seeing how we know which one to use. If you remember all of the ratios, if you learn them, then it's quite easy. Right, let's clear this and set up a question. So here's our first question. We've got a triangle. It's got a right angle in the bottom corner. We know that the angle we can see there is 50 degrees, and we're giving a length of 10 meters. From this, we're asked to work out h, which I imagine means height in this case. This is actually the kind of question that you might use where you might be trying to measure the height of a tree using trigonometry, but we don't need to go into that right now. So what do we need to do? Well, firstly, are we using Pythagoras or SOHCAHTOA? Well, it can't be Pythagoras because we've only got one length. Is it SOHCAHTOA? Well, we've got a right angled triangle. We know an angle and a length. That works. So since it's SOHCAHTOA, we'll start by labeling the sides. I'm going to use a different color. This is the hypotenuse. This down here, because it links the two angles that we together, is the adjacent. And here is the opposite, because it is across from the angle we're interested in. So we've got the ones that we're using then are opposite and adjacent, opposite and adjacent together from SOHCAHTOA. Well, O and A go with the T, tan. So we're going to write out the tan. Tan of theta equals the opposite divided by the adjacent. Now, in this case, what we now do is, in all of these cases, in fact, what you now do is substitute in the numbers you know. We know that the angle is 50 degrees. Theta is the angle, that is 50 degrees. The opposite, we don't know that, that's called h, substitute that in, and the adjacent is 10. Great. We now know tan 50 equals h divided by 10. It's the ratio, it's going to work. From here, we have to rearrange the equation so that it says h equals. And to do that, I'm going to times both sides by 10. So 10 tan 50 equals h. Because timesing by 10 gets rid of the dividing by 10, or cancels it out. Now, go to the calculator to work this out. Just type in 10 tan 50, and it gives you 11.9 meters. So h equals 11.9 meters if I round it up. Good. Right, I'll just clear this and we'll have another question. Here's our next question. We've got a right angled triangle again. We've got 2 of the sides and we're trying to find the third. That tells us we need to use Pythagoras' theorem. We've got 2 of the sides, we're trying to find the third. That means we're using Pythagoras' theorem. So in this one, we're using a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We need to find the c, because that's the hypotenuse. So that one is the longest side, that is our c. The other 2, it doesn't matter which order we put them in. So I'm going to write this out as x squared, let that be the a value. So that's the b. X squared plus 6.3 squared equals 17.2 squared. We need to rearrange it so we can just type it in the calculator. We need it to say x squared equals. So I'm going to take away the 6.3 squared. X squared equals 17.2 squared minus 6.3 squared. That tells me that x squared is, I'm going to get the calculator and work that out. Just press pause. That gets me 256.15. 256.15. To find x then, I need to take the square root of the answer, which gives me 16.00. Round it off to some sensible amount of decimal places. Clear that one. Try one more, last one. Right, in this question, we're asked to find x, which is a length. It can't be Pythagoras because we only have one other side, so we must be using SOHCAHTOA. And what do we do then? Well, we label the sides. SOHCAHTOA needs us to label the sides. This is the hypotenuse, the longest side. This one is the opposite because it's across from the angle. And down here, that would be the adjacent, but we're not going to be using that. Don't forget to write in the right angle. Okay, so we're going to be using H and O. H and O go together with sine, so we're interested in sine of theta, and that is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Substitute in the values. Sine of 55 is equal to x over 20. Times both sides by 20 to rearrange it so we can type it in the calculator. 20 sine 55 equals x. So x equals, and literally type that in, 20 sine 55, we get 16.4 if we round that correctly. Okay, that'll do for this video. Check out the second one.